Okay, everyone. Guys, CA Inter examination is on and two papers are done. Don't analyze the papers. I'm sure whatever you could do, you did your best. Now it's time for paper number three. This is the tax paper, and I'm going to tell you a 1.5-day strategy that will help you today, tomorrow, and day after tomorrow. So it's a 3-day strategy after the paper that you've just given. I'm going to talk about the chapters you should start with. I'll tell you a small amount of questions that will definitely be in the exam. And I will also tell you where a source of study. So, in case you're lost where to start, I will tell you that as well. Let's start. This is a 1.5-day strategy. Typically, you will come back home in the evening and you will start with DT. Yes. In DT, the first day evening, don't start with something very big. Start with a basic chapter, return of income. This chapter is small. It comes in the exam. I'll tell you when, as and when each and every chapter, which areas to focus on. Focus on who should file the return. There is a rule called Rule 12AB. Focus on that and focus on updated return. When can you update the return? Focus on if you file the return late, what happens? Focus on your PAN becoming inoperative. Those are the things that you should focus on in return of income chapter. Revise it and then move to the next chapter. The next chapter is a chapter which is called Income from House Property. This is a chapter that you know well. You have to mentally think that you know these chapters well before you start because you've done it and this is only recap. House property, focus on LOP, focus on SOP. In the default tax regime, you cannot take SOP interest deduction. Focus on that. Focus on deemed ownership. When you transfer your house to someone else, it comes back. Focus on areas of rent. This is income from house property. A practical question could come from income from house property. Focus on house getting divided into two parts. And if your house is with furniture, focus on that part as well. Let's move ahead to the next one, IFOS. In IFOS, there is dividend tax, there is gift tax, there is deemed income, and there are some additional incomes that go under IFOS. A couple of things you should be careful about. Family pension. In the old scheme, there is a deduction of 15,000 per annum. In the new scheme, it has become 25,000 per annum. Your deemed income now is coming under buyback 222F. This is something new, and you should keep in mind that as well. Next, that is the evening that you will spend. If you get some more time, you can continue. But next, now I am assuming you will sleep early. You will wake up very early the next morning and you will start with residential status as scope of income. In this, focus on how R and OR, those amendments, AIC 1 and AIC 2. If you've been my student, you know what I'm talking about. For the others, how can you now become an R and OR if you stay in India for 120 days or more and your Indian income is more than 15 lakh? Focus on that. Focus on deemed income and then focus on residential status. Only individuals, don't focus on HUF companies, etc., because mainly it is individuals and sometimes HUF. Next, set off and carry forward of loss. This is the time in the morning where you'll do a very easy chapter here. If you don't want to do the entire chapter, watch my revision video on this and get it done with. You can expect a set off. Important things to think about in set off. One is unique blood. All those unique blood groups, owning and maintaining racehorses, speculation business, specified business, long-term capital loss. Next, when you carry forward a loss, remember quarantine stamp, you cannot go outside your family to set off your losses. Discontinued business, after 8 years, the loss will lapse. You keep in mind that if you file your return late, that year's loss cannot be carried forward. And any exempt activity like share of profit from a partnership firm, if the profit is not taxable, even the losses will not be allowed as a set off or carry forward. Next, you will go to the chapter. IFOS has come again here, so I'm removing it from here. Next is PGBP. Yes, in PGBP, don't chase the sections, chase the concept. कि PGBP में incomes क्या होती है, partner salary, partner's interest. Look at that. Deductions also, don't worry about the sections. See if it's connected to PGBP, you take the deduction. Disallowances are very important. Political disallowances, political magazine, TDS, without deducting TDS if you pay that disallowance. Next, partner's income, partner's salary and partner's interest which you pay now has a new limit for salary. That is important. If you pay someone in cash, that is disallowed. If you pay relatives excessive, that is disallowed. Those you have to keep in mind. And presumptive income, 44AD, ADA, and AE, you have to keep in mind. Some things you can avoid here are section 44AA, that is not important. Another thing which is very important is 43B. Those 5 deductions which you will get only when you pay, those are really important. So focus on PGBP. Remember, PGBP can be done if you remember the top 10, top 15, 25 adjustments. Anything you require from this, I'm going to attach a Google Drive link, one for DT, one for GST. Everything that I'm saying, whether it's a DT scanner, whether it's my QuickBook, everything you can find on that link. Next, Watch out for the amendments. We have an amendment video for DT. You can just watch that video instead of going through some document and you'll be good to go. Next, day two, you are reaching the afternoon time now. Finish your rates of tax. Focus on first the old regime. Focus mainly on individuals only, old regime, and then go to the default tax regime. And then look at the special rates of tax. In capital gain, it is 12.5%, etc. All casual income are taxed at 30%. Keep in mind all of that. And remember, rates of tax, as an individual, you'll have to calculate the rates of tax. Next, the chapter called TDS. TCS also is important, but mainly TDS, guys. Focus your energies there. Do five sections. If TDS you feel very big, what you can do is every chapter you finish, watch, do 5 sections or 3 sections of TDS, and then move ahead. In TDS, you just have to write a paragraph. There is no tabulation. So just remember SRA, section, rate, and amount. Next, capital gain. A lot of changes have happened in capital gain. So first focus on what happened on or after 23rd July. Don't focus on indexation, etc. Focus on what happened later because that's more important in capital gain. Again, capital gain, guys, go for the video, watch the video and revise it from the video. Next, a very small chapter called clubbing of income. This again can be asked in the exam. Go through it. Video is great. Deduction under chapter 6A will be there. And salaries you should do without the retirement benefits. Don't focus on retirement benefits. Just look at SAP and SEP. This is the afternoon time. And this is where this comes to an end. We now go to the next part, which is GST. After this comes to an end, now let's talk about DT paper. The first question will have PGBP. It will have some amount of capital gain. It will have rates of taxes and it will have deductions. That's the first question. The second question will have TDS and it will have some other thing along with TDS. The third, fourth question, so you'll move ahead and then it will be things like set off will be there, return of income will be there. These are expected questions in the exam. Now let's talk about GST. In GST, this is day two in the evening. You've already done with DT, so you're confident now. And whatever happens, you have to take a break and then move to GST because you cannot ignore GST part as well. In GST, first start with a nice chapter supply where you know whether it is subject to GST, importation of services, mixed supply, composite supply, do that. Next, do a small chapter called value of supply. Then move to something bigger called charge of GST. Focus on FCM, RCM. In fact, for GST, guys, I'll tell you a shortcut. If you don't want to do GST on your own, just keep watching the revision video. It's a 7-hour revision video, but it'll cover everything, including ICM material questions. So you can revise using that video as well. Then look at registration in charge of GST. Look out at residential property, RCM. Be careful about 10A, that is composition scheme. Next, you go to invoice chapter, then you go to TDS, TCS chapter. You can do with invoice e-way bill also, then place of supply and exemptions. If you find exemptions to be too many, break down the exemption. After every chapter, do 2-3 exemptions, so that will cover your exemptions as well. I have videos on GST covering the entire syllabus, including every chapter. You can watch that. This is the DT strategy and this is the GST strategy. This is what it is. Half an hour, 1 hour before the exam, drop your books, don't worry about it. In the exam, always remember, even if you're starting with MCQs, make sure you're doing those MCQs which are direct MCQs. Example, if there's an MCQ which tells you calculate house income from house property, that is great. But if there's an MCQ which tells you compute the tax liability or total income, you can come back later. And those are the MCQs that will take a lot of time, so come back to them later. Computation of income, even if you're not confident of the entire answer, try and give some steps because you will definitely get marks for steps as well. And start your paper ideally with GST and then move on to DT. This should be the strategy for your tax paper for 1.5 days. All the best. Once the tax paper is over, don't try and analyze it. I'll release a video on the analysis of the chapter of the paper, but don't overthink about it. Remember, halfway is also a good win. All the best, guys.